Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer.
Who is he?
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer.
And who is he?
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer.
And what he do?
And he's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, board-certified criminal defense lawyer. Today we are reacting to a few different things that have happened recently in the last couple days in the trial of Alex Murdaugh. But before we get to that, this, as always, is brought to you by eSign.com. eSign.com. eSign.com is an effective way to do remote business. So let's say, for example, that you see that you need more money from Alex Murdaugh and you need to have him sign a retainer agreement. And you need it done right now. So you email the jail and he does an e-signature and now you're covered for the rest of the trial. I use this all the time when a client can't make it to the office. So I email a retainer agreement, they e-sign, you just download the app, you get 3 free signatures a month, and it's an effective way to do business. And not just retainer agreements, power of attorney, a sales agreement, rental agreement, any kind of business you need to do remotely, go to eSign.com. Now, so this next one, this is the cross-examination of Alex Murdaugh's former law partner. Now, let me tell you something. Everybody has a different style of lawyering, right? Everybody has a different style. I know a guy who does the fire and brimstone on everything, and it works for him. It would not work for me. I'm not that guy, you know? But you have to be careful. And once in a while I do it, but only if I know that the jury is going to come along with me. Let's take a look at this cross-examination.
You would. Would you take a shotgun to hunt up?
Yes.
Would you take an AR weapon too?
No.
Why? I mean, them hogs are out there, right?
Well, they don't usually come in a dove field when you're shooting dove. So I don't know. You just wouldn't, Mr. Harpootlian, typically. I mean,
but it's daytime, you're riding around the property, you got a shotgun. You got a slug in that shotgun, or you using bird shot?
you would shoot birdshot.
When you're hunting birds, you don't use a slug. Number one, you're not going to hit anything if it's in the air. And number two, if you do hit it, there's nothing fucking left of the bird.
Okay. So if a hog came up, nothing you could do.
If a hog came into a dove field with a bunch of dove hunters,
Well, maybe
they would shoot at him regardless.
Maybe you're on your way to the dove field. The dove field's not right next to the house, is it?
See, so the difference between cross-examination and direct examination, I've explained this before, but I'll explain it again. Direct examination is, I ask you a question, and it's open-ended. So, what was your day like today? How did you start your day out? Well, I had some cereal, blah, 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 blah. Cross-examination is the opposite. You control the questioning. You control with questions. You had cereal for breakfast, didn't you? And that's the difference. The more he gets into this, and you're dealing with a lawyer, so you need to just deal with stuff that they're not going to argue with.
It's right within a few hundred yards.
Bordered by the swamp?
The swamp's on one end of it, yeah.
Okay. And where do the hogs live during the day?
The other thing is that you have to watch out. You can't be a grandstander. You can't be up there, oh, this is my show. This is my time to shine. This is, you saw how, in our last video, how the defense lawyer did a direct examination of the expert. He was kind of in the background and let the expert tell his story. When you're on cross-examination, you're a little bit more out front, and in fact, you're a lot more out front, but you can run the risk of alienating the jury with your personality. And that's what happens here.
Primarily.
Well, they can live in the swamp, they can live in a bay, it could be anywhere, but largely in the swamp.
The swamp. So a hog could have come out of that swamp.
Yes.
And you were unarmed.
As I said, if a hog came in a dove field near somebody dove hunting, they would probably shot it with birdshot.
Would that kill a hog?
If it was close enough, but unlikely.
But unlikely. So you have, in fact, ridden around Moselle without a gun to kill a hog, appropriate gun to kill a hog.
Well, yes, if I was going over to the Dove Field, I wouldn't have one.
But you've never ridden as Paul and Alec did that afternoon, just looking at different, like where deer, what do they call them? Where they plant stuff for deer?
Food plots?
Yeah. Or looking around at how these fruit trees were doing. Remember the Snapchat video?
I've never,
See, I mean, where's this going? I mean, if I'm wondering where this is going, the jury is kind of probably rolling their eyes.
done that with Alec, and that I recall, but I could have in the past, but I don't have a specific recollection.
Or where they planted some corn for, I guess used corn for deer and ducks.
You do, but you don't plant them in the same spot.
No, I get that. One would be near a pond or in a pond or around a pond.
Correct, they had a duck pond.
Right, and then
Who gives a
others
shit?
would just be out where the deer might come out and try to feed, right? Look, we don't need to go there.
Yeah, I don't think.
See, I mean, even he thinks that his questioning is stupid at this point.
Yeah,
Okay, but you've never rode around like that with them, looking at different plantings and that you remember.
I don't have a specific recollection of doing that with Alex.
Okay, and would you? You're not telling this jury that they would do that without a blackout. They could. I mean, would it bother you or offend you or scare you that they're riding around the property during the daytime without the blackout?
No, I was answering questions about what's normal if you're looking for hogs or if we're just riding my property. I mean, most people carry a gun, but no, I have no idea what they had with them or what they were doing.
And I think Al testified they were looking for signs of hogs because you could come back. It'd be a lot easier to find those hogs at night, right? They come out more likely at night than they do during the day.
They can become nocturnal when they have a lot of pressure, but like as I said before, we've shot a lot of hogs in the daytime.
Sure.
You can ride up on them and yeah.
But has anybody testified they were out looking to shoot hogs that afternoon?
I don't know what all the testimony's been in this.
This is so ineffective. I mean, why would you bother asking him about the rest of the testimony when he's a sequestered witness?
Trial.
All I'm saying is there seems to be some implication they would not ride around the property without an AR or some sort of blackout. You can't testify to that, right?
I cannot.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about what you heard from Alec the night of June 7th. You would agree with me that, well, let's ask it this way. What your practice is primarily personal injury, is that correct?
It is.
Catastrophic injuries.
Well, I handle a lot of catastrophic injury cases.
Cases, for instance, where a husband and wife are riding down the road and hit by a tractor trailer. And by way of example, maybe you could give me something more specific. Husband's killed, wife's severely injured. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now, is it your experience in people who undergo, maybe they're not hurt, but their loved one is hurt, maybe killed? In that situation, that's a traumatic experience for the surviving person, correct? To see their loved one killed?
Yes.
Okay. And so when you sit down with those folks and
So where he's going with this is you saw the same reaction in Alex Murdaugh that you saw in your clients who saw their spouse killed. That's where he's kind of going with this.
account with them what happened that night. Oftentimes, I do a little work like you do, oftentimes those folks misremember or get times wrong, or because they went through this very traumatic experience, and the closer to that experience, the more likely they are to get some things wrong. Times, for instance.
Now, why the prosecution doesn't object here is beyond me, because it's like, it's really not relevant.
Is that your experience?
They can, but I also find that people who have been involved in traumatic experiences try to be very accurate with the details because they know it's important to me representing them.
Rule number 101, cross-examination 101, you don't ask a question you don't know the answer to. And when you're dealing with this person, I mean, he's trying to get him to be his own witness, but he's really not coming along.
And typically, you don't go out to the scene of the crime and interview, or the scene of the accident and interview him that night, do you? Typically?
Well, typically you don't, because, you don't know it's happened.
Sometimes in the old days they used to do that, but they don't do that anymore, right?
That would be very rare.
Very folksy thing to say. Sometimes in the old days, this is what I used to do, blah, blah, blah.
So you're seeing them in your office weeks later?
It can be days, can be weeks.
Okay. And in that atmosphere, it's a little more conducive to them being as accurate as possible, right?
It is, but, oftentimes we also have the benefit of recorded interviews when there's a catastrophic injury. Typically, the highway patrol will try to interview people as quickly as they can, and they will. We oftentimes have it on video off a dash cam or sometimes body cam, but and a lot of times written statements.
See, this line of questioning is really kind of irrelevant, but he's not getting anywhere with it, and that's why the prosecution probably isn't objecting.
Written statements from witnesses who saw it happen.
Correct.
And so when you interview those people, they have the benefit of reviewing whatever you have to help them get a better recollection of what happened, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So the instance you're talking about where Alec told you he turned him over before he made the 911 call, whatever it was, I'm not quite sure. Before, I think is what you said. If that would be inconsistent with something he says later on, after having reviewed other people's statements, looking at video, that would not be unusual in your business. I think you just said it would not be unusual, correct?
He's trying to explain Alex Murdaugh's inconsistent statements through this witness. And this is a witness that Alex Murdaugh stole from, his partner, that they kicked him out of the law firm, somebody that he lied to.
Right.
You're trying to take me somewhere that you probably don't want to.
Oh, no, I think I want to. And the question.
That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is mano on mano. You don't want to go there. And he's going to take the fucking bait.
Withdraw the question. Let me ask you this question. Maybe we'll get to that.
Let me ask you this question. Now watch. This is going to get heated. And it's going to be stupid because when you get your dander up, when your ego gets in the way of your job as a lawyer, you can make mistakes. And this is classic mistake.
The meat of the matter here. Have you had to come out of pocket to pay back the money he stole?
So now he's going to. So he went from trying to have him trying to have this witness bolster Alex's credibility because this is how sometimes things happen, which didn't fucking work for him, to now he's going to attack him, which just, you go from like, okay, you're going to help us, now you're not going to help us.
And don't tell me you don't know.
Well, we're still counting, Mr. Harpootlian.
Well, how much have you paid so far?
We have had to borrow millions to pay back.
No, how much have you had to come out of pocket?
Well, when you borrow it, you got to pay it back, and I couldn't tell you how much has exactly been paid back as of we sit here today. But yes, and if you're implying that I would come in here and somehow shade truth in any way because of that, I would take high offense with that, Mr.
I'm
Harpootlian.
concerned about your high offense. Are you angry at him for stealing your money?
I have no feeling one way or the
I
other.
don't have any feeling about Alec Murdaugh betraying you and stealing your money.
That just came out of fucking nowhere because all the questioning he did before that didn't work.
I admire you. I don't know that I can look beyond that.
It's sustained. It's not a question. The jury is to disregard the argument.
And this whole line of BS that he's going down, it's not helpful to his client. But he hurt his ego because he wasn't coming along with his questioning. So instead of just moving on to another passive, something that will help him, he's asking all kinds of questions that aren't going to help him.
You are not angry with Alec Murdaugh?
I have had anger with him, extreme anger, Mr. Harpootlian, because of what he did to my law firm, my partners, my client, his clients, our clients, what he did to his family, what he's did to so many people, yes, I experienced a lot of anger. But you can't walk around with anger. You have to find a way to deal with it and move forward. And I have done that. And if you...
That is an incredible answer. How can you attack a guy like this? There's nothing to be gained by attacking him.
Just, you are dead wrong. If you think I've come in here and told this jury something because of money, when we're talking about two people who were brutally murdered, then you're headed in the wrong direction.
Do you think he did it?
Why the fuck would you ask that? Do you think he did it? I'd object to my own question if I asked that. That is just ridiculous. I mean, number one, it's objectionable from, your own standpoint. But you think the prosecutor is going to object to that question? No, give your opinion.
I don't have an opinion. I don't have the benefit of the materials you have.
Well, let me ask you this. You're angry with him, stole millions of dollars from your firm. You admit your firm's not even called the Murdaugh firm anymore, right?
It is not. I don't admit that I'm angry right now. I told you I've gotten away from that. I don't have any feelings because you can't walk around with anger. I have been very, very angry about it because of what he's done. And he did it in a very callous way, a very deceitful.
Why would you do that? Honestly, you're giving him a foray into more character assassination evidence, and it doesn't push his ball down the field at all.
And you carry no. I'm sorry. Maybe I just saw some anger there. Were you angry just a moment ago?
No, you keep trying to push a question and don't want to accept my answer, which is what it is.
That you've just given your Zen, your Nirvana, your whatever the.
Your Honor, objection.
Mr. Harpootlian,
Forgiven him?
I came to the scene of these murders to support my partner. I was there. I saw things that hadn't even been talked about in this courtroom.
Why would you go down this road with him? This is a scenario of somebody that probably hasn't tried cases recently. That's my guess. And he's probably there because of his name. And this is such an ineffective cross-examination of this guy. This guy is sympathetic as hell. And he's been through hell, both financially and when he went to the scene.
I was there. I love Paul very much. I thought I knew who Alec was. I did not. And it's hard to you might not understand, but it's hard to walk around with anger, and hard to even walk around with it when it's with somebody who you didn't know and didn't understand. So you might have be that way, but I've got to function, I've got a family, I got to move on with life.
Were you aware that he went to rehab in 2017?
I was not,
Really?
other than what was said by Alec in this courtroom.
You never were aware he had a drug problem?
I was unaware.
Okay. Sort of.
And if I would have been known, I would have tried to help him.
Where's he going with this? I mean, get out of there. I mean, if you're a defense lawyer, if you're not asking questions that help your case, you don't ask the questions. That's rule number 102. Number one, you don't ask a question you don't know the answer to. And number two, you don't ask too many questions.
And even though it's cost you your firm and it's cost millions of dollars to you, you have forgiven him? You buried him no ill?
I didn't say I forgave him.
You're just not angry about it anymore.
I said I have no feelings. And I had to work on that, Mr. Harpootlian.
Why would you go down this road again? To just, even though he ripped you off, even though he stole, just nothing good came from this cross-examination. And this is just, I wanted to show you this because this is just an example of what not to do. So we'll keep following the Alex murder trial, and there's a lot more. The judge did order a site visit or a viewing of the property, so we'll kind of see how that plays into their thought process. And now you got something for them to think about. Possibly a second shooter. You've got two firearms. You've got none of which I think were recovered, and you've got a very horrific scene and some physical dynamics that the defense expert testified to. So So we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts. Make sure you subscribe, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, sign up for Patreon, and we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts.
Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away.
23-hour lockdown, police is at my call.